This is one of our landmark events. I'm really pleased that everybody came. I would like to actually acknowledge a few people. Certainly, where's Charlotte Buchanan, our founding member. All of this would not be happening without her. Her vision for a solid sister city relationship here in Albany. My immediate predecessor, Jerry Shea. But especially our education committee. They worked tirelessly from coming up with topics to evaluating your essays and working endlessly. Dawn has been involved since I don't know how many years. Beth Smith has taken over as a chair, and she will be working. Helen is on the committee, feverishly reading your essays. So again, on behalf of the Albany Tula Alliance, we really appreciate your participation and hope you enjoy the evening.
We're so happy to see the parents, the family members, representatives perhaps from some of the schools in the capital region, and most especially the young people who have written essays to enter in the contest. And we're proud of every one of them, and we have found it inspiring to read their words. As you can see from the program, the topic they addressed was, what can the older generation learn from your generation? And this topic elicited passionate and often eloquent responses. At first, I was taken aback by the conviction of many that somehow this is the first generation to raise their voices and actively seek change. Well, what about the freedom riders, the bloody voter registration drives, the anti-Vietnam War protests, the violent responses? But the words of another theme running through the essays was, listen to us. And if I listened, I heard a sense that perhaps the older generation, or the older generations, have not solved many of the world's problems. And the older generations don't seem to have an appetite for taking very decisive action these days. And this is not to suggest that the essays were pervasively political, because actually they were pervasively practical and often concrete. Many focused on one significant area where young people can provide a huge service to their elders, teaching them how to utilize technology to improve and enhance their lives. And I think all of us in the older generations are very grateful for this kind of help that the younger ones are giving us. I gained new information about how bitcoins work and about robotic weaponry and safer body protection in warfare. I learned how we elders can be taught to appreciate the beneficial new ideas in transportation systems, environmental changes, and even education practices and parenting techniques. This is not to say that the writers don't appreciate what they can learn from their elders. One notes that the older generation is able to teach us of old ways, the long-held traditions, the skills of their people, farming practices, recipes, fishing, hunting, among others. In return, this young person can pass along knowledge of the intricacies of technology. And the writer concludes that there are probably more similarities than differences between Russian and American societies, musing that the same mutual teaching probably takes place in rural locations in Russia. The call for social justice for all is not unique to American young people. Millennials are changing the world, states one writer, using social media to raise awareness and get their voices heard in Russia as well as in the United States. This writer quoted an LA Times article asserting that in Russia, quote, the youth is more progressive. School kids are going to Navalny's rallies not because it is trendy, but because they have realized that if we do not do anything now, we will keep on living like our parents. A final quote summarizes the message of many of the essays. quote, "What the older generations can learn from the younger generations is to listen." And I guess that's the word I took away with me. And it's humbling.